amended the mass gatherings because the governor defined a mass gathering of more than 500 people. He amended it to 100. So to be consistent with the governor's order, we reduced our mass gathering to 100. So that was one of the modifications to our previous order. But the new order is I put in a prohibition of social gatherings. A social gathering, of course, is different than a mass gathering. That if you have a social gathering outside of your household or your unit where you live, for it to be no more than 10 people. The reason for this, Christian, is that the information that I have been getting, the reports that we have been getting, and in fact the conference calls that we have been with different officials from other parts of the state, is that this has been the core of why infections have risen, is younger people continue to party, continue to socialize, continue not to accept the protocols that are in place, or not following a physical distance or not using facial coverings. So in order to combat this, then I wanted to put that restriction in place. And then the curfew again is to discourage gatherings of people. So we put a curfew for 17 and under between the hours of 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the morning, and for people over 18 from 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock from 5 o'clock in the morning. We think this will help us not only keep gatherings from occurring during that period of time, but it helps our law enforcement people to rest. It helps some of our healthcare providers not to have to, attend to people that would be coming in. Primarily, those are the major changes, and the reason for that is that we just have a very rapid rise of infections, and they're attributable to activities, primarily activities of the younger people.
Okay. And then in terms of, just to clarify, the difference between mass gathering and social gathering, could you differentiate it again, the difference?
A social gathering is within your home, somebody else's home, within a party house or whatever. People are just getting together. It's not a public gathering. It's more of a private social gathering. We want it to be no more than 10. And again, these are guidelines that the Center for Disease Control has put out. That is the source of the 10. And again, these were some of the restrictions that we had prior to the governor taking over on May the 1st. And as you know, we had we only had 3 people in ICU. We had, I think, less than 10 people in the hospital, single-digit rates of infection. I mean, we were doing pretty good. And then, of course, now we know where we are.
When it comes to enforcement, how's that going to work? I mean, what could be, because I know the governor had said, like, no fines and things like that for masks. But, I mean, how's that going to be enforced now?
To the extent that my order in Hidalgo County does not interfere or is in conflict with any order that the governor has, we can enforce it. But here again, most of it is going to be at the hands of businesses, which is the one that has a fine of $1,000. Basically, what we can do is just go stop the activity, have somebody just stop the activity.
But you guys can't, like, ticket or, like, fine and things like that?
I can't put you in jail and I can't fine you. I can certainly go tell you to stop doing it.
Well, you could tell me to stop. Oh, good point. And then the other question that I wanted to ask you, I mean, a lot of people might think that, I mean, we're just going around in circles, and like you mentioned, we were doing fine in Hidalgo County, but then this happened. I mean, for those people that say we're just going to go around in circles, like we're going to get better, and then we're going to open up again, and then it's going to come back again. I mean, what's the message that you tell people who are on that other side and might not comply this time?
Christian, the best message that I can give people is I was just learned this morning that the father of a dear friend of mine passed away because of COVID-related issues. We've had less than 30 people die, but still, that's 29 people, I believe, is the number that have passed. So now it's probably in the 30s. That's too many. Okay, so what I would tell people is that We have no right to endanger the life or the well-being of anybody else. We have a duty to oneself, to take the necessary precautions to protect others from us. We hope that this is a temporary thing. We hope that we can go back to normal. And I want everybody to know that it's not the county judge, it's not the governor, it's not the president, no one is responsible for this problem. This is a world pandemic that happened, and we're just trying to learn to live with it and learn to work under this new world environment that we have. And we know what works. We know that if you don't get close to a person, and if you have to get close to a person, if you're wearing facial covering, the chances of you getting infected are very, very remote. So if those things are true, then it's a simple process of don't get close to people, and if you must get close to people, have facial covering. I can tell you that if somebody walks up to me, whether you're a reporter, a friend, or anybody, and wants to talk to me to my face, and he would have COVID-19, I wouldn't want to get close to him, and if I did, I would want him to have facial covering. So everybody has to assume that they do have it and take those precautions, and then we'll get out of this thing. We're going to get out of this thing. I mean, this thing, we're going to get out of it. But we can't get out of it without any pain. We have to invest in ourselves. We have to invest in some sacrifice, to get out of this mess that we're in.
Okay. And then just to go over, make sure I got it correctly. Just so the two things that are mandated, so required, are the limit of 10 or more social gatherings, and then the curfews, right?
Correct.
Everything else, because I had read the link before the link went down. I saw like shelter at place, but that's just highly recommended, right?
The shelter in place, and not to travel, all of the other protocols that are out there are strictly recommended. What's not recommended is we prohibit social gatherings outside the household or household unit of no more than 10. And we have a curfew for 17 and under and 18 and over.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Judge.
No, thank you, Christian.
Thank you so much.